Jüdische Mama is the schönste of der Welt. I was born in Czechoslovakia. I went to Czech school and Hungarian school, and then the Hungarian took over Czech and the Germans, so they took me to Auschwitz with my parents. Here is my mother and father. They took me right away, and they put the numbers, 63, 57. There were 7 children. My brother, thank God, was not there, so we were 6 people. And from them, 5 people was exterminated, unfortunately, my parents. Not feeling that they came and they said they sending them to a shower, and after the shower, they put gas. The Russians invaded Auschwitz, and the German fled. I was that time 18. So when we were liberated, we tried to go to home, and we went home, but unfortunately I didn't find anybody. They took over my apartment, somebody else, and there were organizations, so they organized that we should gonna go to Israel. They took us to Bucharest. There I find my brother. He was looking for me. In Bucharest, I met my husband. My brother introduced him. And we went out several times, and then we got engaged and married. A lot of people were organized to go to Israel. And we arrived to Israel, Haifa. And they gave us a place to be. My sister-in-law was liberated from Auschwitz, went to America. So she wanted very much we should be together, so we went to America. My boss, Eliezer Grossman, sent me to school, and I became special for active recreation, and I became the recreation director. And I worked there 42 years. I retired age 92. Despite I lost my parents and my siblings, I felt that God is very helpful to me. He's very good to me. He guided me in their mind, and I know that this was because I was raised in a very religious Jewish home. I never gave up. Even when I was in Auschwitz, I always believed in God, whatever they did to me. I never left praying or never left believing, and I felt that that's why I survived. And I hope I'm gonna go on with my life as should be, and it will not always be behind my ear, but I will never forget. Always remember.
Let's begin today's special program with Holocaust survivor Toby Levy. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's always an honor to have you here. You are 91 years young, born in 1933, the same year that Hitler came to power. You've been a champion of sharing your powerful journey and reminding people why it's important to never forget. Take us back to Poland when you were about 8 years old. What's your most enduring memory?
Very clear memory. Thank you for asking that question, because it's many times with me. Very clear memory. First of all, I see the boots, the German boots, and the soldiers, tall, good looking. They walked in and let us know that our life is now ended, simply ended. Not much to tell you details, it's not important. The fact is that we knew that we are no longer free. We have to work. Whatever is ours is theirs. They can do with us. We have to wear an armband on the arm, a white armband with a Star of David. Life ended for me. I no longer had a childhood. I became an adult overnight. My parents talked about what can we do. My father tried to teach me how to survive when he's away at work and if he never comes home. But he didn't want to wait too long. The Germans stayed with us for about 1.5 years. Then they had a big Aktion, and my father said he is looking for a hiding for all of us, but because he doesn't think that any of us will survive, because there is no help from outside.
Right, and you can relate to Anne Frank when it comes to hiding, right?
Very much.
Yeah, tell us about what it was like being a little girl having to hide.
We were hidden, and not exactly like each one of us, each survivor that survived has a unique story to tell. Anne Frank, she had the whole family and another family and an extra one, a young boy. She was a mature young little lady, and they had a lot of rooms. We were cramped into a barn, the old-fashioned barns, small. We had a place only 4 feet by 5 feet. We were 9 people, 4 of us, my mom's sister, and 2 children, and my maternal grandmother. We were 9 people, my aunt and uncle and 2 children. So the space was very difficult, but we were very lucky. We had almost 2 times almost found. Every single day, my father used to get up in the morning. He used to say, "We made it today." Wow. He always used to say, "Somebody will survive that war because we will have to tell the world. No way are all the Jews going to be killed." I have to say one more thing. My father was an Orthodox Jew. He did believe in God. He said, "God, we have to do our share. God will help us because somebody has to survive. Maybe it's us." Sure enough, we had to move in the place where we were. We could not stay in the barn. She made a better, bigger place. So Stephanie, her name was Stephanie Struck, and her son, a 16-year-old boy, said to Mom, "We can't chase them. We have to help them." He didn't hate us. She didn't hate us. Every single day was a miracle. Second year in hiding, she took in Germans to live in with her. The barn door was always open. We never left the barn to go outside even at night. My father kept us strict.
Yeah.
No talking, no laughing, no crying.
And that's why you say you didn't have much of a childhood. You know, Miss Levy,
no child.
You are a hero to people around the world, including here in this city. We're so proud you live in Brooklyn. And you answered hundreds of questions about the Holocaust for visitors to interact with in a new AI
Yes,
exhibit. What was that like?
It was very different,
Yeah.
very different than I expected, but they asked hundreds of questions,
Right.
short. They didn't want long questions.
Right.
That's how I learned to talk short. So they asked short questions, hundreds of questions. In fact, it's going to be the opening Monday.
That's right. And let me just ask you this.
Sure.
Here you are, 91 years old. You survived the Nazi rule when Russians took over Poland. You survived all of that. And then last year, October 7th.
I know. It hit me hard. But yet it hit me. I was in Israel for 2 weeks. Came home 2 days later. It was last year. It was my 90th birthday, and I wanted to see Israel one more time. But it hit me terribly hard. But then I realized this is my lot, and I have to pull myself together, and I have to teach the children, like my father taught me, how to survive.
You are part of a powerful fraternity speaking truth to power, and we are proud of you. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here for our special program.
Thank you for listening. I hope everybody comes to the museum and hear everybody's stories. You sure can learn how to survive.
Absolutely, and to never forget.
Never forget.
Thank
And by this, I have witnesses. But I'm very proud of my life, that I came out of ashes and made such a nice, not a good, decent life. Means I'm a good person. I say this is my revenge.
And we are proud of you. Toby Levy, thank you for coming.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for being here. We'll be right back.
I survived Auschwitz. I would like you to remember the last words of my brother, Avrum Tzvi, When he came back from the hospital into the ghetto to the apartment, and he was on his deathbed, his last words were to me, "Allah, please remember me." My name is Aaron Krell. Remember this.
Anne Frank, the brilliant little girl who kept a diary documenting her life in hiding while living under Nazi rule. Here in New York City, this groundbreaking new exhibit features a full-scale recreation of her hiding space, a global symbol of resilience and strength. Here's Spectrum News reporter Rebecca Greenberg.
Each year, more than 1.2 million people travel to Amsterdam to visit the Anne Frank Museum. It's where the Jewish teen and her family hid for 2 years evading Nazi soldiers. It's also where Anne Frank penned her diary cited in history books worldwide. Now, in an effort to make her story even more accessible, the museum has partnered on a new exhibit in Manhattan. Entitled Anne Frank the Exhibit, it is quickly drawing visitors to the Center for Jewish History on West 16th Street. Its opening coinciding with International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The exhibit, a full-scale recreation of the Frank family secret annex. There are also photos of Anne's life from before the German occupation and items discussing her time in camps, including Auschwitz. Aside from the exhibit itself, there is also a school curriculum available. Thanks to a number of sponsors, school groups can visit the museum for free.
We have secured over 350 schools already who have planned their visits to the exhibition. This is tens of thousands of school children who will make their way into this building.
Facts in our present-day social media age are routinely manipulated and distorted, and to be able to have an opportunity to present people with a historical narrative that comes as close to the truth as absolutely possible is a really important thing.
When students learn to identify hate, when they learn to confront it with empathy and critical thinking, they will become part of the solution. They gain the tools to build bridges in their communities and to champion justice and equality.
Anne Frank the Exhibit runs through April 30th.
That's Rebecca Greenberg reporting for us. And here are images from the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And we're so pleased to have Ronald Leopold, Executive Director of the museum, here with us now. Thanks for making the time. I know this is a very busy time for you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, and you traveled more than 3,000 miles from Amsterdam to be in New York City to kick off this exhibit here in Manhattan, which we just saw. Explain what visitors will see here in the city compared to the original Amsterdam Museum.
So in a way, people who are going to visit the exhibition here in New York will see more than what you see in Amsterdam.
Really?
It's for the first time that we bring such a full-scale, meticulously recreated annex, the place where Anne Frank and her family were in hiding. It's going to be furnished, unlike what you see in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam, these are empty spaces. The Nazis, after they had arrested the people in hiding, they took away all the furniture. And we think this here in New York, bringing people really close to history, in time, in place, is the reason why we decided to furnish with replicas the spaces where Anne was in hiding. On top of that, we are bringing more than 100 artifacts to this exhibition. Many of them rarely, if ever, been on view in Amsterdam. And I think that what we try to do is, through this furnished annex and through these artifacts, giving our visitors a glimpse into the daily lives of those who were in hiding for more than 2 years.
Yeah, and you know, during your remarks at the press conference, you talked about the rate of anti-Semitic activity increasing all over the world, including in Amsterdam, even happening in the shadow of the Anne Frank house. Tell us more about that and why it's so important that the message of never forgetting is more important now than ever.
I think this exhibition is coming at a critical moment. We've seen a rise in anti-Semitism and other forms of group hatred for a longer period of time. We have seen anti-Semitism also before October 7. So I think we feel in the context of all this that our responsibility as also an educational organization has never been greater. And this exhibition is also in part a response to that responsibility.
And lastly, what do you want visitors, especially school children in New York City, to take away from this exhibit?
What we hope is that our visitors are going to learn about the past, are going to learn about Anne's life, but it's not enough to learn about history. We should also learn from history.
And that's a good mission. Ronald Leopold, Executive Director of the Anne Frank House, thanks for your time and safe travels back to Amsterdam.
Thank you.
Our special report continues right after this.
My name is Alice. I survived Auschwitz. This is what I want people to remember about Auschwitz. My arrival, heart-wrenching experience of separating from my family. Torn away from my mother, another sister, never to see her again. Witnessing the fire and smoke around us.
Thanks for staying with us as we mark 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz. We're pleased now to welcome Anne Arnold and Isabella Fisk. If you think they look alike, you're right, they're sisters. And they're co-founders of the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation. Great to meet both of you.
Same here, thanks for having us.
And I want to start with you, Anne, because both of you are so devoted to your dad. He's 91 years old, living in New Jersey, yes, and he's a Holocaust survivor from Poland. And this is all three of you work together to educate the masses. Tell us how your dad is doing.
Thank God, Dad's doing great. He still's made it his mission to go out and speak to as many students, and not only young students, but adults as well, telling about his own experience so that he makes sure that people don't forget. And that's what led us to starting the foundation.
And I want to say his name, Mark Schoenwetter. And tell us what your dad went through is a big part of this foundation, right? And it's all based on his experience.
Yeah, so he survived the war in Poland in hiding with his mom and his younger sister. He was 6 years old when the war started. And they went from their hometown to a ghetto to hiding in kind Polish people's homes and in the forests. And if it wasn't for the kindness of the Polish people to take their lives at risk, we would not be sitting here today. So really the whole foundation that we've tried to promote is kindness and respect, and you have a choice in life, and you have a choice to choose kindness over hatred, and kindness is the thing that makes a change.
Absolutely. And you know, one part of your platform is you're educating children who may get in trouble. And they, you know, it's so easy to draw a swastika on your notebook or put it on a school bathroom. The penalty, though, is education through this foundation. Tell us more.
So part of the foundation, so we give grants to schools nationwide for Holocaust education. And through networking with people, we've networked with some local police departments that have decided to, rather than punish students, let them sit down with a Holocaust survivor and learn, let the child learn from the survivor about the past and what they were really doing and what the meaning of those symbols are. And that one-on-one interaction has really changed these kids' perception of just trying to make a joke.
Right. And tell us the reaction of the young people after they meet, say, with your dad.
Well, if you see a picture of him, you would just fall in love with him. They hear from his story, they hear his positivity, they hear his hope, they hear that there is no hate in his blood, even for the people that did do things. You know, his father was murdered in a mass grave, but he doesn't have hate. He has an understanding to say, you need to learn and understand so we can make changes and learn from that past so nobody ever can experience what he experienced.
How can people help?
Well, we are always looking for those that are as passionate as we are, and of course, we need funding to help continue to fund these schools. But not only here, we provide money to schools all over the country. So we're always looking for volunteers. We're looking for those that are as passionate as we are about education.
And we have your website, and we will continue to spread the word about the wonderful work being done in honor of your dad, Mark Schoenwetter, and Arnold and Isabel Fisk, co-founders of the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation. Keep doing what you're doing, sisters.
Thank you.
Okay. And finally, tomorrow is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and events are taking place around the world and here in the city. There'll be a live stream of the commemoration ceremony at the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial and Museum in Poland from 10 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in D.C. will read the names in the Hall of Remembrance and have Holocaust speakers at the museum. That's happening from noon until 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And watch or DVR Mornings on One live coverage from the opening of the Anne Frank exhibit in Manhattan. Our special coverage begins tomorrow at 6 a.m. That wraps up our special program commemorating 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz. I'm Cheryl Wills. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.